Hello, welcome to this introductory tutorial into the pension school and how to set up a model for your own personal circumstances. So we're going to go right from the start here and open up the pension school model with double clicking the icon there. Okay, this gives me this introductory screen and I can just set up an initial sort of family tree with this. So I've got the main person's name there, John Smith. Whether or not he's employed or not, I'm going to select yes that he's employed. Whether or not he's married, I'm going to select yes for spouse there, and that's spouse called Mrs. Smith. I'm going to, in this circumstance, leave him with one grandparent, and I'm going to remove both Mrs. Smith's grandparents, either because she doesn't have any or because they're not financially relevant in terms of modelling her circumstances. And I've got a different number of sons and daughters I can put in here. What I'm going to do in this case is remove one of the sons and change his name to Thomas, and change the daughter's name to Sarah there. So you can see I've got that's my basic family tree, and I just click go ahead and set up, and I go onto the next screen, which allows me to go through each of the people here and set up a basic expenditure plan for that person. So for example, Mr. Smith here is going to have a drink each day, a cup of coffee, say, newspaper each weekday. He's got transport costs, lunch costs, weekly, social life, sport, groceries, monthly, those various costs, annually, those various costs, etc. Accommodation, he's buying his own house at the moment, so we're going to select him as primary owner occupier, and he's got a mortgage attached to that house. So select OK there, and I get onto the standard costs for Mrs. Smith. As Mrs. Smith is the primary financial person in this household, most of the costs that apply to both of them will just leave in Mr. Smith's. So for example, electric and heating are left out there. Well, she'd probably have her own telephone account, council tax left out, satellite broadband's left out. I'm going to take each of those out because I assume they're paid for by Mr. Smith. Accommodation, and we're going to select lives with John Smith. Okay. Now, cost of granddad, I'm just going to cancel everything there, and I'm going to put him in that he's the primary owner occupier and he doesn't have a mortgage attached. The reason I'm doing that is because he owns a house which we are possibly going to inherit one day, and that may be part of our financial plan. So select OK there. And now you've got cost of Thomas for John Smith. So these are just the additional costs incurred by Thomas being a child. So we've got childcare there, child costs there, and monthly annual costs. We're going to include the cost of the family summer holiday together, etc. So, and it's hard coded in there. That as a child, he has to be living with the adult. So we've got him there living with John Smith. And similarly for Sarah, childcare costs, general child additional costs. So that's all okay. Select OK, and you can see the screen now is set up as we would want it to be, with Grandad there with his house, John Smith there with a house worth 150,000, mortgage 150,000, his wife with a few additional costs, but nothing major, no income there. As we go back to John Smith, we can see he's got an income here called work, so with a net income of 18,300 a year. And then we've got Thomas and Sarah, who have no additional financial costs. You'll notice the childcare costs here are under the expenditure for Mr. Smith, as he's going to be paying for them. So that basically shows you how you set up the family tree. And just if you've got, for example, an additional person, say there's an auntie who has property or that you're responsible for, you can just right click on the family pane, add new person, type in a name there, date of birth. You can see how the state pension date is changing as we change the date of birth, and I'm going to put auntie is born before the war. And we'll have a claiming benefits, not seeking work, household of housing benefit claims, currently drawing state pension, we've estimated there. We click this estimate button, we get the different accrued rights under the state pension scheme. And she's not got a job in the system. These band earnings are going to come up at 0, but NI contribution is going to come up to 54 years. And I'll select auto personnel, which means decisions are made automatically by the model in a default mode, and select OK. Yes, we do wish retirement date. So here's Auntie, and the reason for Auntie being significant is we're going to hopefully inherit a house offer. So I'm going to put it in setup mode and add a property. I'm just going to select buy first home. I'm going to say the property is worth 250,000, and there we go. We select display as value there. You can see there's £250,000 of value there. Okay, so that gives you an idea of how to set up the initial family tree for the model, and in future tutorials we'll look at how to add in basic assets that we have and change the liabilities, change the details of employment and that kind of thing. So, but that gives you a first introduction of how to actually set up the family tree.